Hey, welcome back. Welcome back to this Wicked Wednesday edition of Liquid Lunch on Newsmax TV. I'm John Tobacco. This is my favorite part of the show. And as you can imagine, Women Wednesday is usually my favorite day of the week. But when you get the big heavy hitters on Women Wednesday and their guys, you got to bring them in. It tightens up the whole show. These guys come in every single Wednesday for my favorite segment to mix it up. It's David Eisenbach and Johnny Burnett joining us again. David is a professor at Columbia University. He's our own Liquid Lunch presidential historian. And Johnny Burnett is a managing director of One Empire Group. John ran for New York City Comptroller as a Republican. David ran for New York City Public Advocate as a Democrat. So when they mix it up, these guys have been everywhere. They've been on the ground. They've been in the classroom, in the boardrooms. They're everywhere. So this is some real insightful commentary. When we mix it up, I throw out the topics. I sit back, mix up a little drink for myself, let them slug it out, and thoughtful conversation is had by all. Guys, thank you so much again. So there's so much going on. State of the Union. Today's a tremendous day. The impeachment is supposedly going to be over today, which will be another great accomplishment for Donald. Down in up in Iowa, they still can't count up their votes from Monday on Wednesday, so we'll get to that. But I thought Trump hit some really good notes. It was, many are saying it was for his base. But right off the bat, and David's been saying this for months now, it's all about the Dow. It's all about the economy. If it stays good, Trump wins by a margin that probably maybe no one ever saw. But right. Let's take a look at some of the stuff he had to say last night. Trump, we have it? I don't see it.
I will lay out this evening demonstrates how we are building the world's most prosperous and inclusive society, one where every citizen can join in America's unparalleled success and where every community can take part in America's extraordinary rise. From the instant I took office, I moved rapidly to revive the U.S. economy, slashing a record number of job-killing regulations, enacting historic and record-setting tax cuts, and fighting for fair and reciprocal trade agreements.
Okay, boys, it's up to you. Johnny, what do you think?
I think this was awesome. He laid out not only what he had done, but the impact in the guests that he called on. He threw out something for everyone. This is what winning actually looks like. And I'm glad he did it.
David, what do you think about his economic theories here?
Well, leaving aside our debate about, how legit this stock market boom is, with the Fed pumping in about $200 billion in the last 2 weeks through the repo market.
Dow at 29,000.
We're going to leave that aside.
Up 400 on the day.
I thought it was a really great speech. Because it does exactly what a president wants to do in an election year, which is appeal to a broader spectrum outside of his base. And that's what he did last night. That was not a speech for the base. That was trying to go outside of the base, nail down those Obama voters that voted for Trump, and then move it even beyond that to really nail down the
Let me help you out a little bit. That speech last night was a speech that a CEO would give to all stakeholders and shareholders. He actually laid out what actually happened, how we actually got there in terms of earnings per share, in terms of wages, opportunities, things of that nature. He laid it out. He told America exactly, he connected his policies to the results. And he also spoke about optimism going forward if we can actually work together in D.C.
So I think there's right now a grand total that they're talking about 95 promises that he made and kept. But one of the main things that he was talking about was, I'm going to build that wall, which is now underway. Okay.
Well, continue.
And I'm going to create jobs. Jobs is what he said.
Right.
And then last night, of course, he went to the well on that one like he should. And he said some stuff about unemployment, which I'd like to get your thoughts on also.
Employment rate for women reached the lowest level in almost 70 years, and last year women filled 72% of all new jobs added. The veterans' unemployment rate dropped to a record low. The unemployment rate for disabled Americans has reached an all-time low. Workers without a high school diploma have achieved the lowest unemployment rate recorded in U.S. history.
Guys,
it's hard to argue with those numbers. It's impossible, actually.
Right.
And that to me was the strongest part of the speech. Not talking about the wall, right,
or the Fed, or anything of that nature.
It's going after the economic issues. Those are the reason why those Obama voters voted for Donald Trump, and they're the ones that are going to come back and put him over the top if the economy remains.
I got to ring the bell. I'm
Absolutely.
sorry. I mean, we're all on the same page on this.
Totally.
One. When we get Eisenbach on our side, that is big.
I thought he might come in and rip the page.
No, I mean, look. Here's my 2 cents on that. He said amazing things. Handicap unemployment all-time low. African American all-time low. Veteran unemployment all-time low. And you see these Democrats, the Republicans are yes, that's tremendous for our country. Democrats are sitting there like this. They don't even want to applaud for veteran unemployment rates being like you don't care about the vets.
Unemployment
They don't
rates.
want to applaud for handicap unemployment rates being low. What do they want to clap for? And like say
Well,
yes.
because those are the most devastating issues for Democrats, right? How do you argue with that? How do you run against that? And the answer is, as long as those numbers stay as low as they are, the Democrats have no chance in the fall.
Johnny, here's the thing that struck me. I want to get your view on it as an African American male, okay? One of the things that I thought was really charming and real that the president did, he had a 100-year-old former U.S. Air Force member, right? A member of the biggest African American contingent in the Air Force, the Tuskegee Airmen, right?
Right.
So this guy's 100. He's got his 13-year-old great-grandson with him. He stands up, and I mean, that's America right there, right?
Absolutely.
Like back then, black people were not getting that kind of praise, but we know the history of the Tuskegee Airmen. They were unbelievably decorated military faction, right? And they got the worst of the resources, but they were still a huge piece of our victories, right?
Right.
Here's a 100-year-old vet who stands up with his grandson, and Trump says maybe his grandson one day will be part of our Space Force, like he was an innovator, an originator. And when I see that, and then Nancy Pelosi goes like this.
Oh, that was heartbreaking.
She don't clap for veteran unemployment, and we're talking about a 100-year-old decorated African-American military veteran. She rips it in half. Doesn't that hurt the Democrats with the minority parties to not even care about that?
That actually touched me. You know, when you look at the Tuskegee Airmen, right, during a time in America where they couldn't actually go to a lunch counter, drink from a water fountain, but they still went out there with brave hearts and fought for America. Why? Because they actually had a vision to see, you know what, let's fight for this America, come back home, continue to fight, and actually help America live out its true meaning of freedom. And that's exactly what happened. And President Trump not only brought him to the chamber, but he had him stand and actually let the world know that he actually promoted him. Took advantage of this opportunity because there's not too many of them left. As you can see that he's 100 years old, and actually spoke to the future promise of his great grandson. This is America, people.
That is America.
And again, that's Donald Trump's strongest argument. You know, this is also reflected in his emphasis both in the Super Bowl ad and last night on the First Step Act, the Prison Reform Act. Which has the federal penitentiary disproportionately affects blacks and Latinos. That act was huge for all those inmates and their families. That's something they can't take away from Trump.
It changed a lot because of Joe Biden's 1994 crime bill.
Yes.
This undid some of that stuff.
First Step
I
Act.
want to get deeper into that. You guys are staying with us. We're going to take a quick break right here. We're going to come back, and I want to talk about that First Step Act and some of the comments Trump made last night on criminal justice reform, where he has more in mind. And I think to David, your earlier point, he's going, that wasn't just a red meat argument.
No.
He's going outside the base and saying, hey, look what I've done for even you guys who don't always come to my rescue.
That's how he gets reelected.
I want to take a deeper look at that on criminal justice reform and more. More Liquid Lunch for you right after this. We're going to mix it up with Johnny Burnett and David Eisenbach.